Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And to celebrate the recently released Agent Venom Omnibus from Marvel Comics, I thought it'd be fun to put together a quick list video that I'm going to call Where to Start Reading Venom. And while there are some really great places to begin jumping into this character, I thought to limit my list today to omnibus editions, just for fun. I'm really eager to talk about today's collections, but before we jump into that, I do want to shout out the channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I always encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link to it in this video's description, and if you see anything on the site you like, you can actually use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's go ahead and get started with today's list. First up on our Where to Start Reading Venom list, I have to talk about the Spider-Man vs. Venom Omnibus from Marvel Comics. I had a couple contenders on where to start this list. I actually considered doing the Omnibus from David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man, but I thought for a specifically Venom list, this is actually the book I'm going to recommend. For those that don't know, this Omnibus is sort of a best of greatest hits for all of those early Venom appearances. I really like this. I know some people consider it the unofficial Venom Omnibus Volume 0. It is a perfect kind of middle ground between a Spider-Man Omnibus and a Venom Omnibus. What this edition includes are, again, all those first appearances. We get the origin of Venom, and then we get him just kind of scrapping and battling it out with Spider-Man. This omnibus also has the birth of Carnage, and of course, Maximum Carnage. So while big collectors of the Spider-Man Omnibus line will likely have all of these issues in the pages of the various David Michelinie Spider-Man omnibuses, for a curated Venom reading experience, this omnibus is still just such an amazing collection that I don't think is well replicated elsewhere. I think that when you think about where to start reading Venom in omnibus format, this is certainly on the short list for me. I think a lot of these issues still really hold up. This is also great for general Spider-Man fans or Carnage fans. This is really an introduction to all of the symbiote base hijinks, and for that reason alone, I think that this is just such an incredible pickup. I know that this edition here is the most recent reprint Marvel did. I don't know if this is even still in print, but I know that this is an omnibus that has come around once or twice. And again, for this list, omnibus format Venom, I had to talk about it. I can't talk about a book like this as well without bringing up the incredible artwork we have throughout it. We have some art here from Todd McFarlane, of course, Eric Larson, Mark Bagley, and more. These are some of the premier Spider-Man artists, particularly through the 90s, and I love that we have a showcasing of so many of their different art styles in this single book. You have the early Venom appearance where he has kind of the normal human-looking teeth. You have the super exaggerated fangs and jaws and tongue and drool from Eric Larson, and then you have the Mark Bagley Venom, which is honestly, arguably one of my favorites. What's fun about this omnibus as well is you get the first couple skirmishes between Venom and Spider-Man, which I think is really notable because I love just some of their first battles. He's such an insidious character, and he's intense right out of the gate, and the fact that you get so many of those first run-ins in this book, it makes it a real treat. I also think that this is the perfect addition for early Venom before we get to the more anti-hero heroic era. I guess debatably once you get to Maximum Carnage you get shades of that certainly, but if you just want kind of the vicious early Venom, you get a lot of that in this book. I think it's a fantastic introduction to the character and one that easily had to make the list. Okay, next up on our Where to Start Reading Venom list, I have to talk about the Venom Omnibus Volume 1, or Venomnibus. I really enjoy what I've read of this book so far. So this begins with that Lethal Protector miniseries, which is the first standalone Venom series. What I love about this is that this is the miniseries that really just refreshes Venom into more of an anti-hero vigilante character rather than a flat-out villain. I think that this definitely definitely adds some layering and nuance to this character, and it really helps him stand on his own 2 feet. I really like seeing Venom in this light. I think that he's perhaps one of his best as an anti-hero personally, although every so often when he's just a straight up villain, I do enjoy those stories as well. But yeah, I think if you're a collector or a reader that wants to begin with a Venom solo work, not him showing up in Spider-Man or some big crossover event, but really just following Venom, then this is a perfect omnibus for you. At the time of the recording, they have done 3 of these volume numbered omnibuses. There's the Venom Omnibus 1, 2, and 3. I only have this first one. The other 2 have been out of print for quite some time, but I think that this is a great starter for Venom. Now, it doesn't have his first origin kind of appearances in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, so if you're looking for that, even in this volume 1, you're really not going to find it here. For that, I would definitely refer you to the previous entry I did on this video, the Spider-Man vs. Venom Omnibus, or perhaps the Spider-Man by David Miscellany and Todd McFarlane. That omnibus, of course, has his introduction as well. But like I said, this is the kind of refreshing of the character where we have him kind of having his origins as an anti-hero. And I really like that. Like I said, I think that this really adds something more complex to this character, and overall, these are a lot of really fun stories. After that initial miniseries, of course, we do have a handful of other Venom-based miniseries. Sometimes he's paired up with another member of the Marvel Universe, but these are a lot of his just early solo adventures, and I think that this is a really fun collection. Again, if you like Venom, but Spider-Man is not fully your thing, this is a great collection to begin with. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so I love the kind of cross-pollination, and even with this omnibus, you still certainly have a lot of appearances from old Webhead, but this is a much more focused Venom-specific collection, and I think to that end, it really is effective. This is a lot of 90s art as well, so you can see it is a product of that time, but it's some of my favorite 90s art. I actually think it's really sharply done. We have a lot of great showcasings throughout this book. Perhaps doesn't have the strongest art compared to that Spider-Man vs. Venom collection, but still very, very strong here. I liked getting to know a little bit more about the character of Venom. It was fun following him as a primary lead or point of view character as well. Again, it is just different than what he's like in the pages of Spider-Man, and to that end, I do think that this is a great way to begin to understand the character. Don't miss out on the Venomnibus Volume 1. Next up, we have the omnibus that inspired today's list video. Of course, I'm talking about the recently released Agent Venom Omnibus from Marvel Comics. This includes the run by Rick Remender, Cullen, Bunn, and so many more. For those that don't know, I will set up this book with a brief spoiler as to who Agent Venom is, so if you don't even want to know that, definitely jump out of the video or fast forward a little bit. Essentially, Agent Venom has a new host. Venom has a new host. This isn't Eddie Brock. This isn't even Matt Gargan or later kind of hosts for the Venom symbiote. No, this is Venom on Flash Thompson. Spider-Man, or Peter Parker's one-time villain turned friend turned injured war veteran. He now gets a new lease on life, although with a darker edge here. After losing his legs in service of our country overseas, he is kind of accepted into a super soldier-like program that experiments using the Venom symbiote to create a new kind of super soldier. That super soldier is, of course, the titular Agent Venom. With the symbiote on him, he regrows the symbiote legs, and he's able to do all of these special ops missions for this organization. But the kind of ticking clock or conflict mechanic is that he cannot succumb to too many heavy emotions or wear the symbiote too long, or he risks being overtaken by the Venom or achieving kind of a symbiosis to a degree that he can't separate out. I think that this is so ripe for conflict. It's a great way to draw in other supporting cast members from the broader Spider-Man universe, and I think it is still a really fun treat for Venom fans out there. We of course have appearances by other Venoms like Eddie Brock, but I think that this is a really acceptable way to jump into Venom. If you want a different flavor, you might want to have a Venom run that doesn't focus on Eddie Brock, or maybe you like the premise or the novelty of this Agent Venom kind of idea. It's also worth noting knowing that this omnibus is absolutely packed out. We even get into the Venom Space Knight era where he goes kind of interstellar up to space. Again, this is just a really dynamic and interesting period in the history of this character. It's also fun when comparing to other runs, like what stands out as a consistent note for the Venom symbiote itself, not necessarily Venom with Eddie Brock in the mix. And I really like the questions that seem to pose in this book. Now, I did just recently pick this up. I'm not sure if I'm going to release the unboxing video for this or this list video first, so if you haven't seen it yet, stay tuned. If you're interested in the unboxing and I've already released it, I'll certainly try to tag that video here. But yeah, really excited to have this book. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and admittedly, I am still making my way through this run. But I am absolutely fascinated, and so far at the beginnings of this run, you can absolutely read as a newer Venom fan that just wants a fresh, modern, and perhaps decidedly different place to begin with this fascinating Marvel character. Don't miss out on the Agent Venom Omnibus. And hey, while I have your attention, if you're enjoying this list video and you also like things like comic book reviews, interviews, and more, and you've yet to subscribe to the channel, I would just like to invite you to do so. It would be great to have you aboard. Thank you for considering. Now let's continue today's video. And last but not least, on where to start reading Venom, particularly for the omnibus format, I have to talk about my personal favorite run on Venom, and that is Venom by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. This was my favorite read of the year, I think a year or so ago, and I honestly think about this run quite often. I also did do a full review for this omnibus. If you would like to see it, I'll try to link that video as well. Why I think that this is such a fantastic place to begin reading Venom is that Cates and Stegman really bring you up to speed on everything you need to know to follow the stories that transpire across this book. We have Eddie Brock's Venom at a particularly low point in his life, and right away we are introduced to a character known as Null. There's more on that as you read the run for yourself, but essentially within the first story arc in this collection, you're introduced to this sort of climactic storytelling element that from that point on, the entire narrative ultimately builds to for a really stunning culmination at the end of this omnibus. In fact, this book effectively ends with a big event throughout the Marvel Universe known as the King in Black, and this omnibus actually collects the main King in Black issues. What a complete and amazing standalone omnibus, honestly one of my favorites. Admittedly, it does have a darker edge to it, as many Venom collections do, but I think that this is just such a fantastic run. And for its darkness and intrigue, there's also so much hope and just really good, solid character development, values in some ways in here as well. The art from Stegman is just absolutely indescribable. We have a couple of artists as well in addition to Stegman on this book that also do a fine job, but Ryan Stegman on Venom in particular is just something to behold. Now, Donny Cates is one of my newer favorite comic book writers in the last couple years, and this run to me is maybe his magnum opus. This is maybe top of the heap for me for Donny Cates writing that I've had the pleasure of reading, although shout out to his run on Thor, I did enjoy that as well fairly recently. But yeah, this is Donny Cates' Venom. Again, why I think this is so great for new readers is it's another modern kind of contemporary take on the character. Instead of Agent Venom, we actually do have the proper Eddie Brock with the symbiote this time, so this is the original Venom, which I think is a novel way to get introduced to this character, reading the kind of original Venom symbiote kind of host situation there. I also just really enjoyed the artwork throughout it. I love that this book can be read fairly standalone. I really enjoyed the level of detail we got into for the character of Eddie Brock. Like, as much as we've gotten some nuance with this character in the past, never like this. This is to such a degree that it's just a love letter to this character, and it really deepens the mythos of the symbiote of Venom, and certainly Eddie Brock to a level that I just think any passing fan of Venom maybe always wanted to read. And even people that don't like this character, this might make you a fan of Venom. I know, speaking from personal experience, while I've always enjoyed the character of Venom, this really did just up my level of fandom. Again, I think of this run quite often. It was a highlight for me the other year, and it still really is. When I think about where to start to read Venom, this is easily on my short list, and honestly, for the broadest audience, this might be my top recommendation. And with that, we're going to go ahead and begin wrapping up where to start reading Venom. Again, only 4 entries today. I tried to limit it to omnibus format. I thought that would be a fun way to showcase some of these books in my collection. But of course, if you're an early reader and you don't want this level of investment, which I completely understand, there's services like Marvel Unlimited where you can do a free trial even often to check out some of these issues. You can try to track down single issues. You can try trade paperback collections, things like that. There's of course other runs on Venom that I haven't even talked about or explored here in this video, and I would love to hear your list. Do you like these as starter places for Venom fans? Do you have other recommendations or Venom runs that you would suggest? I'd love to hear all about that in the comments section. And also, are there any other characters you would like to see a video like this for? Let me know all of that, and thank you so much for watching. This was a particularly enjoyable one to put together, and I hope you just liked it. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave your like, those comments we talked about, and maybe check out another video on your way out. Thanks everyone, bye.